welcome to Hockenheim for the second race of the weekend in the GT4 European Series, powered by RAFA Racing Club. We had a much interrupted but very lively race yesterday. Expect more of the same, but maybe without the interruptions perhaps. But with a busy grid, it's going to be another really good race. 61 minutes ahead of us as we look forward then to this race, which after yesterday, and a win for the first time this year for Berke Bessler and Gabriele Piana as the reigning silver champion. Berke Bessler with a new co-driver for this year, Gabriele Piana switching teams. Tough start to the year, but that win yesterday meant a huge amount to the Turkish team, Borusan Automotive Motorsport. And we'll see whether or not that car is going to be able to take another win today. Silver, after yesterday, is being led by this car, the McLaren from Elite Motorsport of Josh Rattigan and Tom Leben. Tom Leben is going to start. They lead the championship from Robert Consonnet and Benjamin Lariche. And then for third in the standings, Benjamin Lecena, Ricardo van der Ende. That's a quick car, the Alpine that Nelson Panciatici will take over from Antoine Leclerc. You always look at the Alpine and think it's a small car, small engine, will be a bit breathless, but it has been raced really, really well. Very competitive little car, that. As you look onto the grid, this car came so close to winning yesterday. Marco Signoretti starts the Ford Mustang that he shares with Eric Evans, and it led all but 2 laps, the last 2. But let's see what pace can be elicited out of the car today. Mathieu Villagomez gets set to go. Villagomez is another very rapid driver, as he's proved this year, the Aston Martin that he shares with Jamie Day. And also looking down onto the grid, Tom Emson starting 77, which yet again yesterday was one of the 2 elite cars with the mechanical problems, and it retired, and they just seem to have either no luck or bad luck with that car, being a really frustrating time for them over the course of the season. That's another car that's had frustrations, the Audi of Benjamin Lariche and Robert Consonnet, always there or thereabouts on pace, but just not getting the results that you'd expect from them. And the Hugo Sassa and Raphael Renhofer, Aston, another car to watch that had a win at Paul Ricard back at the start of the season. Number 11 BMW, started by Pedro Ibrahim. That was a car that retired yesterday, but the sister car took the win. And BMWs abound on the grid, because that is Benjamin Lecena and Ricardo van der Ende's car that picked up a penalty yesterday for an incident. But 2 very rapid drivers. They've had a win this year as well at Misano. David Addison trackside, and down on the grid is Antonia Rankin, and she's managed to find yesterday's winners. Can they do it again? Berke Bessler and Gabriele Piana.
Gabriele Berke, you won from a bit further down the grid yesterday, but like you said, today is a new day.
Yeah, there will be new opportunity. We are starting from P7, P16, P17, yeah. So we have a good car for the race. Gabi will, for sure, he will have a good stint, so I will take the car and bring the car, let's say in P1 or P2. let's say how the race goes, but we will do our best and we will give a shot.
Yeah, of course the starting position is not ideal, especially when you see some other BMWs are 10 places in front of us. So my qualifying yesterday was not exactly up to scruff, but yeah, you know, it happens sometimes. We start from P17, as you said. Yesterday we were even further back, so there is still a chance. I hope it will go like yesterday, of course, naturally, but we just do our best and see where we're going to end up right now.
Well, it wasn't ideal yesterday either, and look where you ended up, so best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, yesterday from 19th to a race win. Gabriele Piana will start today. Of course, 2-driver race, you do 1 qualifying each, and you start the race you qualify for, so therefore you start a race, you finish a race. That's the other Academy Motorsport Mustang, which is Matt Nicol-Jones, to go first in 62 for this race. But Josh Rattigan and Tom Leben's car on pole position. Tom Leben at the wheel, the Alpine of Antoine Leclerc lining up alongside. Valentino Rossi fans are here. Valentino Rossi is not. He's not doing this round of the Sprint Cup. So instead, they're finding some new heroes to cheer for, and still bringing plenty of colour to the grandstand. There is Leo Pichler on the outside of the 6th row of the grid. The 5-minute board now being shown. And down on the grid, the field getting set for this second race of the weekend. Number 5 there is Ruben Del Sart, Josh Miller's Aston. Josh Miller will be the first driver into that car, with the pit window being between 25 and 35 seconds. There is Max Bird's Lotus. That was another retirement yesterday, which is a real shame, because he and Dexter Patterson were going well in that car. Max Bird, quick driver. and one to watch, I think, in the course of this race, because 14th on the grid is pretty good going for the new Mahiki Racing Lotus team. Gabriele Piana gets ready to go. Balaclava on, crash helmet on, and then he'll get on board the car. Temperatures are going up all the time here. We had a bit of rain this morning, and people thought it was going to be a cool, wet day, but once that bit of weather had gone through, the sun has burst back, and it is much, much warmer now. Alex Papadopoulos, a winner this year, he will start the number 15 NM Racing team, Mercedes AMG. Ferrari fans, nothing to cheer for in GT4, but lots of other brands to keep an eye on. And 3 classes as well, Silver, Pro-Am and Am. And the winning team yesterday in Pro-Am, a combination coming new into this championship, because the Tino Neumann Elon Gabe partnership, regulars in the German GT4 championship, but coming new into the GT4 European Series. So they had a good maiden victory yesterday, did a really strong job. Finn Zulauf and Max Kronberg have had a couple of wins within the Pro-Am competition this year. And in Am, a car that starts well up on the overall grid, in fact, on the 10th slot, has had 6 victories, the Alpine of Pascal Houtot and Laurent Hergon. So that's very much the car to beat within the Am class. Only one other victor there, Kevin Jimenez and Florent Grisot's Aston Martin from the GPA Racing stable. Right, 3-minute board now shown, and very shortly people are going to start leaving the grid, leaving the final engineer to stand there and make sure the car fires, and then at the 1-minute board they will leave the grid as well. Max Kronberg was an outright winner here last year, and a double winner this season within the Pro-Am competition. Number 16, the second of the NM Racing team, Mercedes, Andy Cantu and Charles Dawson. Charles got a penalty yesterday for being involved in an incident. Andy Cantu was feeling decidedly under the weather on Friday and didn't do many laps. But Charles Dawson, who we saw in this championship last year and has already been a race winner this year in the British GT Series, going quickly yesterday. Marco Signoretti, then the Canadian, looking to try to go one better than yesterday, starting 3rd on the grid today. And he and Eric Evans in this evolution of the Mustang, a car that seems to be working really nicely around here. Cindy Goudet is another one to keep an eye on in the Toyota number 66 from the Matmut Evolution team. And 26th on the grid is Cindy Goudet. So the field is all present and correct, despite the dramas of yesterday's race. I think everybody is there. And number 4, Sacha Bottoman and Lonnie Martins. A car yesterday had quite a few dramas, and that car had a number of pit stops, eventually retired early, but today should be going quicker. 1 minute to go, engines on, and the engineers then will make their way off the grid, fire the engines up. The Fabio Rauer Hendrik Still Pro Sport Racing Aston has been put to the back of the grid, by the way, for this race for replacing mechanical parts, and therefore I think it's an engine change, in fairness, that the car has had, but there are either sufficient parts and or engine and or chassis change to merit the car starting at the back of the grid. So after problems yesterday, Hugo Sassa and Hendrik Still, I should say, and Fabio Rauer's car goes to the back of the grid. 15-second board. We're getting closer then to the cars being released. And the lead car, as it is, the Lamborghini Huracan, will accelerate away. And then you've got McLaren and Alpine on the front row ready to go, as there the green flag flutters, and everybody now sets off in pursuit. Very colourful grid, lots of different shapes and sizes and sounds that the cars make as well. All part and parcel of GT racing. So let's have a look at how they line up then. It is Tom Leben on pole position with Antoine Leclerc with him on the front row, Marco Signoretti and Matteo Villagomez on row 2, and the third row, Tom Empson's McLaren and the Audi of Robert Consani. Row 4, Hugo Sassa, Aston Martin, and Pedro Ibrahim's BMW ahead of Benjamin Lassen's BMW and the Alpine of Laurent Hergon. Row 6 is where you find the McLaren of Cam Lawrence, the RAFA Racing Team entry, and Leo Piccolo's Porsche alongside. Then Matt Nicol-Jones' Mustang and Max Bird's Lotus ahead of Josh Miller's Aston and the Mercedes of Alex Papadopoulos. Row 9, yesterday's winner Gabriele Piana and David Kuhlmann's Racing Spirit of Le Mans Aston to line up alongside ahead of Nico Verdonk's Mustang and Jean-Mathieu Leandri's Alpine. Then Nikolai Moller-Madsen's Porsche, Max Kronberg's Porsche ahead of Maximilian Angelard and Charles Dawson. Next up, Florian Brichet and Sidney Goudet ahead of class-winning yesterday Tano Neumann with Sacha Botterman alongside ahead of Baudouin Detout and Alexander Weintraub. Next up, Nick Malloy and Jean-Laurent Navarro ahead of Noam Abramczyk and Richard Wolf. Next up will be Nico Markovic's Audi and Anthony Debarn's BMW. Then you will find Paolo Maloney lining up alongside Enzo Juliet, a long way back on the 19th row in the Toyota. Enzo Juliet having had an outright win at Paul Ricard. He's on the 19th row, the 20th row. Andrei Solokovtsev and Hans Holmlund ahead of Joachim Balder and Daniel Nielsen lining up alongside of him. Next up, Florent Grisot and Philippe Talamy on row 22. The 23rd row is the BM of Honda Erdem and the man behind the RAFA Racing Club, Rafael Martinez. His McLaren ahead of Stefan Nielsen and Jordan Kerridge's Lotus. Piotr Hodson returning to the championship, and the Toyota of Mikael Brunhagen is alongside, and then Henrik Still in that Aston for the steward's decision to be starting at the back of the grid completes a very busy entry of cars. So 51 of them set to go racing, and the field now making their way down to the Mercedes arena. The lead car will start to slow the pace. Everybody will get themselves into that side-by-side formation, ready for the rolling start, and then we will be in business. It's the view on board with Benjamin Lassen, race winner at Misano in the second race. The first race, a very lively one with a spate of punctures, which was making the racing spectacular late on. Tano Neumann did a really good job yesterday, winning in Pro-Am, first time out in this championship, but you wouldn't have thought it. Did a really impressive performance yesterday. So into the stadium comes this huge field. 25 to 35 minutes for a 72-second pit stop, line to line, pit in to pit out. And with those newcomers, Alain Gaboy and Tano Neumann, also the Hodsons returning to the championship, and Frédéric Roy out of the Alpine Europa Cup, another newcomer to GT4 this weekend. His car went well yesterday, hauling its way into contention with a little bit of help from the regular driver, Jean-Mathieu Leandri. The Chazil Technology course ran Alpine one to watch today in class. So the lights are about to blink green. Race 2 for the GT4 European Series, powered by RAFA Racing Club, is underway, and they accelerate down towards turn 1 with a good start by Marco Signoretti in the Mustang then, trying to go around the outside of Tom Leben. It's going to be Antoine Leclerc's Alpine that leads then into turn 1 for the first time through the Nord Curve, and then up the short straight towards turn 2. Alpine, McLaren, Mustang, they're all going toe-to-toe. And Marco Signoretti on the outside line as they went underneath the drone, trying to go all the way past the Alpine. He's run out of real estate, so I think it is going to be Leclerc up front then as they wriggle their way now onto that fast run down towards the Parabolica for the first time. Benjamin Lassen's BMW up the inside, coming out of the Parabolica to gain ground to the outside of the Alpine. Marco Signoretti brakes as late as he dares. Can't go all the way around the outside. Up into third place has come Villagomez, but not for long. And a really good start looks to have been made by one of the two Borusan BMWs. It's Pedro Ibrahim, but also Piana has had a pretty decent first lap and made progress. Signoretti brave round the outside at 7. Very wide goes Levin in third place. Here comes Ebrahim's BMW to fourth on the inside line. Signoretti leads, but he's gone a little bit wide. He's on the power, and the Ford fends off the Alpine just as they rub coming up out of turn 9 there. Tom Levin right with them, wide up the curb again. Pedro Ebrahim's BMW running fourth, fifth, Philo Gomez, sixth, Matt Nicholl-Jones. You've got both the Fords galloping up the order, then the Mustang's doing a good job here. And into the stadium on board now with Benjamin Lessen as further back there. Tom Emson's McLaren getting crowded onto the dirt. Race leaders then through the approach to the Sachs curve and the Sud curve now. Very, very busy as you were looking at the Sud curve in mid-pack as the leaders now come over the timing line and put one lap in the book. And it is Marco Signoretti's Ford in the lead. The Alpine in second place in the hands of Antoine Leclerc. Third, Tom Levin, the man that started on pole. Fourth, Pedro Ebrahim ahead of Mathieu Villagomez, and then Matt Nicholl-Jones. Laurent Hergon leading in AM. 7th, 8th, Benjamin Lessen. 9th, the Audi of Robert Consani. 10th is Cam Lawrence's RAFA Racing Club McLaren. And we have had a yellow in the third sector. We've got a car that's come down the pit lane. It is Jean-Mathieu Leandri's Alpine. And where is yesterday's winning car? Piana is up to 15th. So a little bit of progress made, but he's going to make more on this next lap. He needs to get through, of course, before gaps open up ahead. There's the Mustang up front. Marco Signoretti, then the Canadian driver, who we saw a couple of years back in British GT. He's returned to the category this year, comes now into the hairpin at the Schwitzkehrer. And round the outside for third there was about to go Pedro Ebrahim. Punctured tyre by the look of it for Leandri. But for third, what happened? Was it the BMW that made the move and made it stick? No. Tom Levin fending him off. So Pedro Ebrahim behind. A big dive by Ebrahim up the inside, and he gets alongside the McLaren and he goes through. Good pass that. Pedro Ebrahim makes it work, goes one side and then the other, and swings through up into third place then. So that BMW, which had dramas yesterday, but mirroring the pace of the sister car of yesterday's race, which it won, the number 12 entry, now up into third place, number 11 out of the Borissan stable. Piana in number 12, BMW, still trying to get himself there. He is in the background up the order. Benjamin Lessen's BMW goes through on the tail of Laurent Hergon's Alpine. Leaders come by. Marco Signoretti up front, a 10th clear last time of Antoine Leclerc, and now 4 tenths clear as Benjamin Lessen goes through to get himself up into 7th at the expense of Laurent Hergon. Out of turn 2. You can see how busy it is. People still fighting for position. And the winning car of yesterday, Gabriele Piana, only 1 place gain on that last lap, up in the 13th. Lots of dust being kicked up there. Look on the outside of the turn 4 kink. Somebody's run it wide, so see whether that's going to shuffle the order, try and work out who it is. The leaders come up towards the hairpin, and it remains the Mustang in charge, Marco Signoretti, but a modest advantage over the Alpine of Antoine Leclerc. 2 more different GT4 cars you could not have. The grunt and go Mustang, the little Alpine, that's Piana being run out wide by Tom Emson. That battle going on for 11th, 12th, 13th places, and big drama there. Got a car that has made solid contact with somebody or something. It looks like one of the Porsches. So yellows are out in sector 2, and I rather fear that's going to be a safety car. It is, straight away. The safety car is deployed by the race director. So safety car on track. And all of that had happened at the Schwitzkehrer. There's the safety car ready to scoop them all up. So they come down to the stadium, but the race being neutralised. There'll be a car to move, there'll be some damage and debris to tidy up from the racetrack as well. So all of that up at turn 6. We'll try and see who we've lost. Cindy Gooday's Toyota has not been through, and Noam Abramchik's Porsche has not been through either. So the race leaders come over the line. Marco Signoretti's advantage of just over a second is going to disappear altogether. Cars go up through turn 2, and the field all in the line. And the race under these controlled conditions continues. So there the field coming out of turn 3. And the marshals and the DMSB intervention team will work as rapidly as possible to sort the situation over at turn 6. So the cars run up towards the Spitzkehrer. Marco Signoretti then leading the way in that Academy Motorsport Ford Mustang. A car that's always added a certain amount of character to a GT4 grid, but this year particularly, the Evolution version going very well in the European Series, although the original one wasn't half bad last year because it won GT4 in British GT, courtesy of Eric Evans, who will share this car with Signoretti here, and Matt Cowley. So they're coming up to the incident zone. You can see just in the foreground there, the marshals sprinting across the road to get some of the debris out of the way from the Porsche and the Toyota. And Jean-Mathieu Leandri, who pitted at the end of lap 1, when I think he had a punctured tyre, did not rejoin anyway. So that's another car, sadly, that is going no further. So the drivers turning their way up through the hairpin. Fans looking on, waiting to see the resumption of the race. And as they do so, they will see a Ford ahead of an Alpine, ahead of a BMW, ahead of a McLaren, ahead of an Aston Martin. So 5 different brands in the top 5, and then the second of the Fords then in 6th spot. The field coming down through the turn 8 left-hander into the Mercedes arena. Where's the leading Mercedes then out of all of this? Quite a long way back. Alex Papadopoulos, 16th place at the minute in the NM Racing Team car. So debris will be removed, cars will be removed, and as soon as the road is clear, then we'll be back in business. But, one or two of the Rossi fans have a look on Facebook to find out where he might be this weekend, because he ain't here. So the field coming out of the arena to the stadium, past that wall cam, which shows the different brands, also the different sounds you can hear as well. It goes past the microphone on the camera. And in the grandstand, everybody awaits the resumption of the race. The lights, of course, remain on the safety car until the road is clear. Up towards the line, then comes Marco Signoretti's Ford Mustang. Just making us feel hungry, shots like that. And Ford, Alpine, BMW, the top 3, McLaren 4. So Tom Leben, despite qualifying on pole, he's got shuffled back in the pack a little bit. So the race now with 9 minutes done, and the race leaders coming up towards turn 2. So the safety car remains on track, and of course towards the end of the period of safety car intervention, it will quicken its pace when the road is clearer, and that will allow the competitive cars a chance to get more warmth into the tyres, the pressure back up, ready to go racing once more. Depending on how long all of this takes, of course, will affect how much of a contribution the faster driver can make if they're in the car to begin with, because there are fewer racing laps available to them whilst we have this long safety car period like this. So 4 laps now of the race notionally done. And Marco Signoretti's Ford Mustang, the car in charge. The other Mustang that comes out of a different team is in the Team Floral Van Springen entry, number 1, Nico Verdonk, and that is in 17th place, a car that suffered dramas yesterday in the hands of Nathan Van Springel. So out of turn 3 comes the pack. The incident up at turn 6 being looked at, and lots of track limit warnings have been offered up, mostly from turn 1, even on those first couple of racing laps. So race control certainly being kept busy here. Safety car remaining on track, of course, while the road is cleared of damaged cars and debris. So as the Lamborghini brings the field into the Mercedes arena, the clock ticking on down, 49 minutes of the 61 remaining. Temperature's increasing as well. Temperature 27.2 degrees now. Not the hottest it's been here this weekend. It's been very, very warm over the last couple of days. Stiflingly so. Today it's a bit more manageable. But now at a slower pace in the car, the drivers are going to start feeling a bit more heat soak. So from the Mercedes arena, cars come through. The leading silver entry is, of course, the overall leading car of Marco Signoretti. The leading bronze, 9th overall, is the AM class car, Laurent Hergon and Pascal Houteau. And then the leading Pro-Am entry is 20th overall, Sacha Botterman, starting number 4, the AV Racing Porsche, that rather struggled yesterday, but a car going nicely today in 20th place. Now, Tom Emson, 12th in his McLaren. Alex Denning is co-driver. They've had a lot of bad luck this year, but let's see how things change. He's with Antonio.
Alex, we've got a very packed grid today. How are you getting on in the midst of it?
Not great. We struggled with a bit of cooling yesterday and dropped down the order and eventually had to retire the car because of the overheating. Today is a little bit cooler, but we've kind of gone backwards. Started off in P5, made a good start, but then just got caught up in the pack, and as soon as our car starts to overheat a small bit, we just go backwards. Bit of a concertina. When we get behind the safety car, we have a chance to cool down the car, so hopefully we'll be able to push through after that.
Is that going to be an ongoing incident with the car? Do you think it will just struggle often in hot temperatures? Can you hear it all? We've just got the safety car pack going on right behind us. Do you think with the heating loop issue that will be an ongoing thing that we'll struggle with in these kind of temperatures?
It's something that the McLaren has always struggled with. I think what we need to do is find a bit of clear space, easier said than done. And once we can get a bit of clear air, we should be good.
Yeah, it's quite hard to do that in a grid of 50-odd cars.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mismatch because you get behind the safety car and you get a chance to cool down, but then that also gaggles all the cars together so the temps go back up. So yeah, damned if you do, damned if you don't. We just need to find some clear air and we should be good.
I'm sure you'll be all right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Alex Denning and Tom Emson have had all sorts of bad luck this year, and this isn't helping either because at a reduced pace with the cars all bunched up, there's less chance of getting lots of nice cool air through to the front of that car. So the field continues then behind the safety car here. Clock ticks on down, and the race control team eager to get the race back underway as quickly as possible once everything is attended to out on track. So you can see in 1 or 2 cases, drivers lagging back a little bit, letting the car ahead go and then accelerate. It's a bit like qualifying to get clear track space. Here it's to get some cool air into the front of the car. There the Lotus going through. Max Bird in 19th place, the quicker of the two, and the second of the Lotuses to be found a little bit further back, the car that Stephen Lake, the man who's behind the project, shares with Jordan Kerridge. So as the cars come towards the Mercedes arena once more, 5 laps in the book. And there is Gabriele Piana's BMW ahead of 77. That's the car Alex Denning will take over, and trying to get some cool air through the front of that car. The other Borusan BMW also has an elite McLaren behind it. Pedro Ibrahim is ahead of Tom Leben, and there Piana is ahead of Tom Emson. The NM Racing Team Mercedes is going through. So you've got the car of Alex Papadopoulos running in 16th place at the minute. And the field now, I think, I might be right in saying the pace is starting to quicken a little bit with the safety car. we can have a look in the background at what happened. It was a very, very big impact into the side of the Toyota of Cindy Goudet and Gabriela Zhilkova from Noam Abramczyk. Cindy Goudet copying the full force of that, so we wanted to make sure that the drivers were okay before we had a look at the replay. And now that we have confirmation that they are both okay, then that can be revealed. Right, let's go back to Elite Motorsport. We've heard from Alex Denning. Josh Rattigan will take over the sister car from Tom Levin. His is the better place. It's in 4th place.
Josh, the car seemed to go backwards a little bit at the start of the race. Was that a problem?
No, it's not a problem. We're just going to keep our cool and see what we can do. But currently the temperatures are quite hot, so it's a bit of a struggle for us, especially like the Mustang. They're quite quick. But we're just going to keep our cool and see what we can do.
We were talking to one of the other McLaren drivers saying that overheating can be an issue for your cars. Is that something you've experienced?
A little bit, not dramatic, just a little bit, so it just slows down a little bit in a straight line, but as long as we, like I say, keep our cool, we're okay, and we're just going to fight back through to keep the points.
All the best, thank you.
Thank you.
Right, there is 78 then, the Tom Levin, Josh Rattigan car, which won both races at Spa in the last event for the GT4 European Series. So, safety car comes towards the incident zone, which is getting clearer all the time. The drivers involved, of course, in an incident will go to the medical centre. That goes without saying in any incident really these days, large or small, to make sure they're okay, make sure there's no nothing sinister, make sure they're fine. So the drivers in question away from the incident zone, the cars are being moved, and very shortly then we will be back in business, hopefully, waiting to see whether it could be this lap even that the lights are out on top of the safety car, because the teams lobbying race control to say we want to go racing as quickly as possible, no doubt. Anthony de Barnes' BMW was pitted as well, number 317, and has just rejoined. So that's the car shared with Greg Gilbert. Stays on the lead lap, but loses a whole host of places, but is at least still going in the race. There is Anthony de Barnes. So the BMW, which has taken one victory this year, it currently sits 4th in Pro-Am in the championship, on track. Right, the safety car's back into the stadium, but the lights are out. Sorry, the lights are not out yet on the top of it. Still flash away, so one more lap maybe. The field charging past that wall cam. And there is turn 6, now clear, and liquid put down has been soaked up with the speedy dry. Noam Abramczyk's Porsche has just returned to the paddock, looking very sorry for itself around the front. So I wonder whether it was a brake failure that did for that car. Certainly a very big impact. And the Matmut Evolution Toyota with probably a lot of side damage as well, the other car involved. Right, so safety car is indeed in at the end of this lap. That has taken pretty much the majority of the first stint. That's not great news for 1 or 2, like Gabriele Piana. He might gain some places on the restart, but he's quicker than Berke Bessler, and his number of laps of opportunity really rather diminished here. So Piana can make little impression with probably about 2-3 laps at the most, but they'll keep him out for the majority of the window, I would have expected, to try and make as much use of Piana as they can, the Borusan Automotive team, that ever-improving Turkish operation. So the safety car now will quicken the pace. It'll bring the field round through Spitzkehre. There's that confirmation that the safety car will be in at the end of this lap. And the car's getting the warmth back into the tyres. Safety cars can breed safety cars, you know, and it's been a long safety car period, so that's why they probably wanted 2 more quick laps just to bring everything back up to temperature and make it a bit safer for the restart. There are still some gaps between cars, but that's as much cool air as anything, and it's ultimately going to be down to Marco Signoretti to try to control the pace for the resumption of the race. So he'll slow the pack a little bit. That'll help some of the stragglers to catch up at the back. And then we will be back in business. So down they come into the stadium, and Marco Signoretti has backed the pace right off then. So comes now with the lights out. It's up to him to control the pace. When the lights are on, you've got to go with the safety car. When the lights are out, it's the race leader that dictates the pace. And as they come up through the Sachs curve, that bank left, there's the little wiggle through 14 and 15. And then towards turn 16 and 17, one long right in a sense, which is the Sud curve. And up now towards the exit of 17 comes Marco Signoretti. He's got them all stacked up behind him, and the Mustang, with all of its grunt in a straight line, accelerates now, and what he wants to do is try and get as good a gap as he can over Antoine Leclerc's Alpine in second place. The other car to watch on this restart is going to be the second of those bright blue BMWs of Gabriele Piana as the pack dives down towards turn one then. Long queue of cars racing back underway here at Hockenheim, and look, Pedro Ibrahim starts to defend from Tom Leben's yellow McLaren in the background for third place. Marco Signoretti on his toes and will go through to lead out of turn two with Leclerc right up behind him. But this part of the racetrack should really favour the Mustang. There, third is Ibrahim. Fourth on his tail is Tom Leben, the man that started on pole. Fifth behind them is Villa Gomez. Matt Nicol-Jones runs sixth, and seventh is Benjamin Lessen's BMW. Heading up towards the Sprich once again. They come on board here with Lessen's BM. Hard on the brakes into the hairpin. So Marco Signoretti it is who leads the way around the outside of Leben with Villa Gomez, and Matt Nicol-Jones Mustang being hung out to dry. Also Laurent Hergon there running wide with one of the RAFA Racing Team McLarens. We've got a Audi in strife as well, which is getting going a little bit further back. I'll come to that in a moment because Piana's BMW has just gained some places as well. There is Leben to the outside line going round Villa Gomez, and that puts him back up into fourth place. On board with Benjamin Lessen, Matt Nicol-Jones just up the road ahead. I think it was Nico Markovic that we saw spinning in the Audi a moment ago, the other speed car entry, as the field dives down towards the stadium, into which Marco Signoretti has turned as the race leader. This is Benjamin Lessen, still looking for a way past Matt Nicol-Jones, player manager, the boss of Academy Motorsport that runs those cars, and he's there on the tail of Villa Gomez. Signoretti, though, in the other car, the red rather than blue over white Mustang leads as you look down from the drone coming through the stadium. Great shot that. And now we can see the gap between the top two. Pedro Ibrahim is in third place in the BMW. Up they come towards the line. In fourth place now, Tom Leben, who's dropped back markedly on that lap after the battle with Villa Gomez. Matt Nicol-Jones is sixth, Lessen seventh, Constantini for eighth, ninth is Piana now, and 10th it is Hugo Sassa. Gabriele Piana then, good progress up into ninth place, and he's not done yet before we get to the pit stop. There he is, Hugo Sassa behind, and there are more battles going on lower back as Alex Papadopoulos and Nico Verdonk go toe-to-toe with Tom Empson, and Verdonk gets ahead of the McLaren there. Max Bird's Lotus in the queue behind as well. Next little battle is on there between Leo Pichler in number 22 and the Mercedes of Alex Papadopoulos, the Misano winner. Still the Mustang leads then coming out of the hairpin, but Signoretti not getting away as Lessen gets up the inside of Matt Nicol-Jones, forces him out wide. There's a yellow flag in the first sector now. So somebody's had a drama quickly withdrawn. Green flag back out. Benjamin Lessen comes into turn 7. Marco Signoretti, the race leader, already out of turn 8, but he's not getting away from Antoine Leclerc, intriguingly. Further back, Robert Consani's Audi, not having the pace around here. It struggled a bit yesterday as well. And there he's under attack from Hugo Sassa now, who's going to have a go, I think, at getting past. So the Aston Martin up the inside of the Audi. Fourth yesterday, Laurentian Consani. Up the inside goes Hugo Sassa, forces Consani out wide, and there is a damaged BMW. That is the Joachim Walder car that retired on the first corner yesterday, and broken suspension and a punctured tyre have done for it in race 2. Really disappointing weekend then for that team. Now the leaders nose to tail again as they come off turn 17 up towards the timing line. Marco Signoretti still leads the way then in second spot, Antoine Leclerc. And Signoretti has done the fastest lap of the race now, 1 minute 49, but a 48 has just been done by the recovering Tom Leben. So the McLaren in fourth place going well. Tom Empson's McLaren has spent quite a lot of its run through the stadium on the grass. It was wide out of the Sachs curve, and it was wide out of turn 17, and there it is, wide at turn 1. The pit window is open. 1 or 2 already making their way in, such as Nikolai Moller-Madsen, I think, to give way to Emil Heyerdahl. Indeed so, an early stop to get out of the traffic, and there with damage limping to the pit lane is number 13 Toyota. That's the Vasily Vladikin Andrei Solokovtsev car. So tumbling down the order, Andrei Solokovtsev limps in. So quite a few with damage on this restart as Gabriele Piana now comes up around the outside of Benjamin Lassène. So Piana pressing on. Did he clear Lassène? This is Benjamin's view. He's alongside Gabriele as they come now into the stadium once more. Sorry, into the arena, the Mercedes arena. The BMs go toe-to-toe, and Piana is through at turn 8. Up the inside, job done. They'll flash past the wall count down into the stadium again. This, the end of lap number 11, and on this lap, Marco Signoretti starting to edge away just slightly. And that is a Lotus in trouble. Is that the Max Bird car? It is. It's got rear damage, suggesting either somebody has got into the back of it or he's had a spin and done that on the runoff area. But I'm afraid another disappointing race for the Mahiki Lotus of Max Bird. It retired yesterday with problems as the leaders are coming up towards the line once again. Signoretti from Leclerc up front into the pit lane. Comes Gabriele Piana, interestingly, to give way quite early to Berke Bechler. That might be to get out of the traffic. And off the road there, 92, that's the Nick Malloy Porsche. So that's in the middle sector of the lap. The pit lane is getting busy as more and more and more of them come pouring in. There's the drone going down the pit lane, showing the teams getting set. Some drivers giving it another lap or two, others ready now. But as you look at 31 of Tano Neumann battling there with Tom Emson, that's been a change of place. The McLaren ahead of the Porsche, Tom Emson recovering now that that car's got some cool air coming through it. The pace improving once more. And Nick Malloy's car is off at turn 10, so the exit of the Mercedes arena and trying to rejoin. 13, that was with its damage on the left rear corner of Andrei Solokovtsev into the pit lane, and that may not be rejoining in a hurry, I'm afraid to say. Field coming into the arena, and that is Nick Malloy's car off the road, and there's a recovery vehicle on the way to try and remove that, but I think that's more than just a spin, so it could be that the race ends up being neutralised to remove that. Let's find out as the leading cars come into the stadium once again. Lap 12, Marco Signoretti still in the lead with just over half the race still to run, and there the recovering Tom Leben getting himself onto the back of Pedro Ibrahim, who will give that car over to Jagish Gedik. Marco Signoretti up to the line, then the race leading forward. Yesterday the car came oh so close to a win. What about today? The Alpine will not go away, will it? Hanging on in there is Antoine Leclerc, the hugely experienced French driver, with Pedro Ibrahim in third place in the BMW. We've got Mathieu Villagomez coming into the pits this time, but still fourth and fifth. Tom Leben, Matt Nicol-Jones and Benjamin Lassène now up into sixth spot. What we need to have a look at is where number 12 rejoined the car in the hands of Berke Bechler, because that's going to be the best place of the stoppers, I think. Rafa Martinez has given way to John Lancaster in number 812 McLaren that was involved in an incident yesterday. The Cam Lawrence, Jem Hepworth McLaren expected in. Driver stands by. So pit stop shuffling the order, of course, and it's partly not only when you come in, it's where you're going to rejoin, because you can get out of one set of traffic and possibly rejoin in more. So the teams are going to be trying to second guess what the state of play will be after the 72 seconds line-to-line pit stop. Gabriele Piana has given way to Berke Bechler, and that car has just gone across the line in 33rd place now after its pit stop. More battles out on track here involving the BMW there, number 70, the car that Onder Erdem and Rick Bouthorn share. There you can see how busy it is in the pit lane. You've got to get on with your neighbour here. Make sure you're not delayed. Away goes the Kevin Jimenez Florent Grisot Aston from the GPA Racing stable. There's another BMW sitting awaiting its turn as well, as more drivers get ready for their teammates. The leaders are coming over the line. There's a whole battle pack there going up towards turn 2, including the Meloni BMW, Paolo Meloni, number 37. This is Benjamin Lassen coming in to give way to Ricardo van der Ende. Away off the road there, bounces. Which of the Aston Martins is that? Number 5, that's the Ruben Del Sart, Josh Miller entry. Ruben Del Sart at the wheel of it, and it was 20th when it came through, but that's not going to help matters either. A big, big rally crossing moment there. Ricardo van der Ende now on board number 17 BMW, as you can see. And so as the leaders work, lap number 14, yet to stop, are the top 16 pretty much. But there's quite a lot in that leading line yet to make the regulation pit stop. So the pit window has another 4 minutes or so. Porsche versus Toyota versus Aston Martin there, as the field again pours down towards the stadium. And still that yellow flag out in the middle sector, as you can see. Into the pit lane has come Nikola Markovic after his early spin. One of the speed car Audis in, so Robert Constantin, the sister car, will be in potentially on the next lap when that pit box is clear. The leaders here sweep through the traffic, putting a lap on the number 317 BMW. They're back into the race has gone Benjamin Lassen. But the two race leaders, not only nose to tail, but they're being caught by Pedro Ibrahim. Leclerc's Alpine has just pitted. There is Signoretti, then the leader, coming up towards the line, but have a look behind him. Pedro Ibrahim's BMW getting closer and closer all the time. And then you've got the 78 McLaren, Tom Leben, getting back up with them as well. Ignore that BMW ahead, that's a lap down. So the yellow McLaren now to the inside line, picking its way through. So the gap between Signoretti and Ibrahim is only 0.8 of a second, and that BMW, just like the sister car of yesterday, showing really good pace now. Leben up to third, getting himself through the traffic. That's the Greg Gilbert, Anthony de Barn BMW, I think, that he's just moved past. And all of these cars are running out of time to serve their mandatory stop, so it could well be this is their last lap. The BMW, though, with good speed on this part of the circuit, fighting back, trying to unlap itself rather cheekily from Tom Leben's McLaren there. Hard on the brakes, they turn through the corner. And Greg Gilbert, who's been a Pro-Am race winner, Pro-Am champion, has spent so many years in Audis, now in that BMW, and he and Anthony de Barn forming a new relationship and also learning about the car, both of them. But Greg Gilbert, you can never discount, always got good speed. And you can see he's matching the pace of the leaders here, even though the car lost a lap with an early pit stop. Leaders go through. Signoretti still ahead of Ibrahim. So there, Marco Signoretti coming up towards the Sachs curve once more. This lap 15. And is Signoretti going to be in this time? Let's have a look. Yes, he is. And also it is Pedro Ibrahim. So the top two close on the track, close in the pits. Tom Leben comes into the pit road as well behind them. So now it's going to be to see where they all blend back in relative to those that have made an early pit stop. So who's going to be the new race leader? Well, not that car, that's for sure. 317 is a long, long way down the order. 36th, Greg Gilbert. Into the pit lane comes Marco Signoretti's car. Eric Evans to take over. And the Beke Beschler number 12 BMW that Piana brought in for him early will be the significant one to see where that is in relation to these cars in the pit lane. Remember, the pit stops are 72 seconds, line to line. Here is the Alpine. Nelson Panciatici is at the wheel of that, and that, I think, did come out ahead of Beschler. It did, so that, in real terms, could take the lead of the race on this lap when it comes over the line. There with a NASCAR-style roof number ready to go. Eric Evans aboard number 61. So here, Nelson Panciatici comes up towards turn 17. The little Alpine will perhaps renew its battle with the Mustang, which is not yet on the move. It is now. And the Mustang has lost out on the pit stops, look, to number 11 BMW. So Jagish Gedic is ahead. And there, going round the outside, is the Alpine that's going to get the race lead, or is it not quite? Jagish Gedic then takes over the lead. Look in the background, Besler is there as well. So you've got the leading 5 together. Berke Besler on the move on the inside to get past. As into the lead again goes Pansky in the Alpine. Second is Gedic, third is Evans, and fourth, absolutely side by side, Berke Besler up the curb, and that's going to put him ahead of Josh Rattigan just. So those 5 then for the race lead. But number 11 of Jagish Gedic was under the pit stop time by about 9/10 of a second. Now, I can't remember if they used their joker yesterday. You're allowed 1 second of tolerance over the 2 races. You can use it in one race or the other, but not both. So if number 11 was under yesterday and is under today, it could be in strife. However, it's lost the lead on the track anyway to Nelson Panciatici. The pit stop for the Mustang was a second over the allocation, so it was a slower stop, but it was certainly adhering to the regulations. Nothing taken to chance there, but we'll see what Eric Evans can do now to bring himself back into the equation. The Alpine has not had an outright win this year, and there is Nelson Panciatici up front, chased by that man, Jagish Gedic in 3rd place, Eric Evans in the Mustang. 4th is now Berke Besler in the 2nd of the bright blue BMs, and 5th is 78, that's the McLaren you can see in the hands now of Josh Rattigan. So any one of those 5 could yet be a race winner, because they're all pretty competitive. And then behind them is Ricardo van der Ender's BMW in 6th place as Nelson Panciatici comes up towards the line with 23 minutes of the race to go. Eric Evans gives the curb a big whack going into turn 1. The car looks a little bit nervy, and he was setting the car up for that corner, but it has survived the moment. Number 5, the Delsart Miller Aston, being given a 10-second time penalty at the end of the race for causing a collision. There is Will Moore just ahead of Benjamin Lariche, and he in turn is just ahead of Luc Ibanez. This is for 8th, 9th, 10th places now. They've got Rafael Renhofer running with them as well. And now that the pit window is closed, we are heading to a full course yellow in order to remove number 92 Porsche, I would suggest. So the full course yellow is now, the boards are ready, and the drivers will all have to slow down to a full course yellow period. So there is the Porsche. It's been there for a few laps, but I think understandably Race Direction wanted to give everybody a level playing field through the pit window, and now that they've all done the stops, we can quickly neutralise the race and get the car out of the way. Won't take long, hopefully, to get that off the track. It might even be that it can purely be a full course yellow period, not having to go safety car, which of course would bring all the gaps back down again. But right now, Nelson Panciatici is the leader. Time to catch breath after a pretty frantic middle period then. And the cars come down to the stadium once more. There, Nelson Panciatici. 7/10 of a second was the margin. But on the restart, let's see what happens. There are going to be people that want a safety car because it will bring them closer to the traffic ahead. There are people that definitely don't. So 21 minutes still to run. And there is, in 2nd place, Jagish Gedic, the Turkish driver. He's been a mainstay of that Borusan automotive team. But of course now the pit stop times are going to be addressed by race control. And we'll be checking to make sure that those regulations have been adhered to, or whether the joker was used in race 1. Nick Malloy's Porsche is the one being removed, and the sister car that pitted very early never rejoined either, so disappointing race for Vimovac. We have number 37 being given a short, we've got the safety car on track incidentally now, so it will be just one lap to gather them all up and restart the race. The Maloney BMW is being given a time penalty for a short pit stop, and the safety car now being triggered. There is number 30, Finn Zulauf and Max Kronberg, looking for a third Pro-Am win of the season. They're back into the lead of the class. So the safety car quickening its pace. There are plenty of drivers still pressing on, trying to play catch-up as well, inevitably. The second of the elite McLarens there of Alex Denning has got Nathan van Springel behind in the Mustang. So all of these drivers pressing on, just up the road ahead in 15th place, number 9 Toyota of Etienne Shelley. And that car, after a really good start to the season at Paul Ricard, has really struggled ever since, it would appear. That's the car currently second in Pro-Am. Lonnie Martins has taken over from Sacha Botterman, and then behind you've got the one that won yesterday, Elon Gabe, now at the wheel, having taken over from Tino Neumann. There it is, the pink and purple came. It looks a bit like a bruise, that, but it is in third in class, won yesterday. And then fourth in the class behind, number 7 is Stanislav Savronov and Alexander Weintraub, who had a win at Paul Ricard at the start of the year. Right, they're all slowing down because the leader is slowing down, because now Nelson Panciatici is trying to control this restart over Jajic Giedic as they come into the Sachs curve. The green flag will await. You can't overtake until you get to the timing line, and Panciatici has gone early here to try to get away from the BMW and use the strengths of the Alpine through the twiddly bits rather than on the power part, where the BMW will have the advantage as they all come out of turn 17 towards the line now. Up towards the timing line goes the Alpine, so Panciatici gets the race back underway with a margin of half a second over Jajic Giedic. Behind him, then it's Eric Evans third, Berke Bechler fourth, Josh Ratican fifth, Ricardo van der Ende in 6th place with 18 minutes still on the clock now. The field streaming its way up through turn 2, and on board now with Ricardo van der Ende. Let's see what he can do. Well, out wide goes Berke Bechler, and that is going to give Josh Ratican a place back, potentially. This is for 4th. Side by side they run. Momentum with the McLaren, but the power with the BMW, and Ricardo van der Ende is almost up with them, getting a toe as they come up towards the hairpin. He goes to the outside line. On his outside as well is Jamie Day in the Aston. They all crowd into the corner, out the other side of which Panciatici still leads. BMW of Bessler fended off McLaren of Leben. And now look, up the inside of Jajic Giedic goes Eric Evans in the Mustang for 2nd place. The Mustang is on a charge, no question about it. All of those ponies under the bonnet being used to good effect on the power part of the circuit. 4th then there, Berke Bechler. 5th behind is Josh Ratican. And 6th, in fact, gaining ground is Jamie Day. He got ahead of van der Ende coming through the hairpin. There's the race-leading Alpine getting away on this lap, but the car behind now, we know, is very, very good in the straight line. There is a 10-second penalty to go at the end of the race now to car number 50 for speeding in the pit lane, and that is the Hodson father and son Toyota. As up towards the line comes Nelson Panciatici, the race leader in the Alpine. Now, half a second he had over the opposition last time. Now it's different opposition. It's the Mustang up into 2nd spot, and so the starting margin, if you like, is a 2.5 seconds. Van der Ende's view on the picture-in-picture at the bottom there as he goes out of turn 1 on that short straight to turn 2 hairpin. Jamie Day, another one on the move, of course, up into the top 6. And Finn Zulauf, heading for honours seemingly in Pro-Am, has dropped a place overall, but does at least still lead the category. So there on the outside line, number 1, the Mustang, Nathan van Springel. And he's under attack because he's got cars all around him. Safronov is there, the Malonis are there, and the Mustang is going to be part of a 4 abreast pack going up towards the Parabolica. And if they can survive that into the hairpin, they're going to be very, very courageous. Into the braking zone now, all of that going on round about 18th place. Very fierce fight indeed as the leaders come down to the stadium. That's the fight for 3rd, where now ahead is just Josh Ratican. And they come up towards turn 8 and 9 out of the Mercedes arena. So Nelson Panciotici's Alpine getting away, in fact, in the first sector of this lap, and in the second. It is showing really good speed over the Mustang. Eric Evans trying to work out how we can use all of the horses of the Ford in second place to catch the French car ahead. Still third, Jagish Gedik, and then fourth, Josh Rattigan back ahead of Berke Bessler in that battle that's been trading all the while. This is Ricardo van der Ende's view, who in turn is still sat on the back of Jamie Day, wanting the place back. Eric Evans goes by, the gap up again, 1.6 seconds, so at the moment it's advantage Nelson Panciottici. The Alpine sat on the back of the Mustang in the opening stint, and it's just being able to extend the margin ever so slightly in this second stint. To turn two, they all come up the inside line there, the Toyota in the hands of Etienne Shelley, and goes ahead of Haralin Nuradini, so that's a place change for 12th overall. The Toyota goes through. Both of those cars running in the Silver Cup. Out of the Spitzkehrer comes the race leader. So Nelson Panciottici, 1.6 seconds to the good, and again he's a little bit quicker in the first sector. So the Ford Mustang there, but not quite where it needs to be. Best of the rest really behind the Alpine, which is having its day of days in this year's championship. In terms of the VMAX, it's very much Ford dominated. Nico Verdonk and Will Moore the bravest, and the Mustangs out of different stables as well. The team Floral Van Tringel for Nico Verdonk and the Academy team for Will Moore. The Allied Racing Porsches there getting themselves together as round the outside goes Nuradini, trying to go back ahead of Oscar Christensen. Christensen, though, is the big aggressor in all of that, looking for position, and they're still together as they come into the stadium, and Oscar Christensen goes through up on the inside line. He takes track position there. 13 more minutes of the race to go, and it's looking increasingly Alpine-esque up front because Nelson Panciottici is continuing to build that advantage all the while. There it is, coming over the line. Second spot, Eric Evans, that margin up again, 1.6 seconds last time around. The faster car, only by hundreds, but was still the Alpine, the Panciottici in the lead. What's going on for third? Side by side now, as Jagish Gedik crowds Josh Rattigan up on the inside line, but the McLaren has the line for the corner and goes through. Good pass that by Josh Rattigan, the McLaren up on the inside. So the BMWs not quite having the result that they had yesterday, but again, they're getting points. This part of the circuit, though, will play back into the hands of Jagish Gedik, who lines up for a move on the inside, almost got squeezed by Rattigan, but he goes back through the Parabolica. That puts him ahead for the hairpin, and right there behind is Berke Bessler, looking the second BMW. He wants to try to get through, so poor old Rattigan attacking and defending. He's on the inside again to attack, and he's done it. Back up into third. Great racing, this. The field now coming down towards the Mercedes arena. This is back on board with Van der Ende, and that off the road. One of the Astons for third place, though. Let's go back to the proper battle, because round the outside, no way is that going to slow down. Jagish Gedik throws it off the road into turn 8, and that hands the place to Berke Bessler. Brake way too late, who's never going to make the corner, skates off the escape road, and so for third place now, it is Josh Rattigan versus Berke Bessler. Hanging on to fifth just is then Gedik, but that's now sixth, as up the inside goes Jamie Day. And Van der Ende looking for a way by as well. So you make one mistake and you completely put off your stride. You've got to try and regroup, get yourself back into a rhythm. And so Jagish Gedik going for a place, lost a whole heap, and now finds himself on the back foot trying to defend. But Berke Bessler is the man on the attack, looking to try to take third place off the championship leading McLaren drivers, Josh Rattigan and Tom Leben. Great battle pack going through turn 1 there, including Raphael Renhofer, number 99, clipping the curb ahead of Etienne Shelley. Etienne Shelley goes through up the inside. That puts him into 11th at turn 2. Lead gap, by the way, has really gone out last time. 1.9 seconds between Panciottici and Evans. There they are. And in third place, Josh Rattigan hanging on to the place ahead of Berke Besler. Behind them, you've got Jamie Day. So the leaders come through the hairpin. Besler, though, is still giving energetic chase to that McLaren. Etienne Shelley's Toyota through on the inside, and Raphael Renhofer staying on his tail as they wriggle their way up through the traffic now. '44 is the charging Oscar Christensen, and that car making good progress, having taken it over from Maximilian Angelard. Now Christensen is going pretty nicely. A spin for number 72, that's Kevin Jimenez, the former Clio Cup star, and that's at the turn 6 hairpin. He's going to get himself mobile again once there's a gap in the traffic, which there is now, and rejoins. But that has had an AM Cup win this year, but I'm afraid to say it's going to be a disappointing result today. Time lost after that spin. We're into the last 10 minutes of the race, as here Josh Rattigan presses on, keeping Berke Besler behind him, trying to close on the Mustang that cannot close on the Alpine, it seems. The Alpine was also fractionally under on that pit stop, by the way, but only by a 10th, but the Joker can kick in there to preserve that. And into the pit lane is coming the other McLaren, 77. So Alex Denning's miserable season continues as you ride on board here with Van der Ende. Onto the back now of Jagish Gaidik. This is for 6th place as they come out of turn 2 and into 3. Those two BMWs running together, but for Ricardo Van der Ende, let's see whether a place can be gained. 6th and 7th they're arguing over. This is for 3rd, and up the inside goes Berke Besler. Is he going to be able to make that move? No, can't do it. The door is closed, although the McLaren of Josh Rattigan scrabbles through the corner, but it does get the traction down well enough to come out the other side ahead. And very definitely, Nelson Panciatici now is getting away from Eric Evans, so the gap is going up markedly. Side by side for 3rd, coming into turn 8. Josh Rattigan hangs onto the place. Berke Besler right up behind him. And the two of them absolutely together again as they come down towards the stadium. The BMW good in a straight line, the McLaren through the corners, so two very different types of GT4 car, but generating this really good battle as they come now towards the Sudkurve. Aston Martin out of the race with liquid all over the ground there. That is the Baudouin Detu Roberto Faria car, going no further. More importantly, this 3rd place battle, though, is getting ever closer, isn't it? Besler trying to fight back against the McLaren as they come out of the Sudkurve this time. So the race has got 7 minutes and change still within it, and the lead gap is up to 2.8 seconds. It's 6/10 though between 3rd and 4th as the rest of the pack streams through turn 1. There is the leading Pro-Am car, Finn Zulauf, but Stanislav Safronov behind is getting closer all the while. So Finn Zulauf here needs to be mindful, because right there on his tail now, look, is number 7. So that's your Pro-Am lead battle as they are partly stuck in silver traffic, but also running nose to tail. Zulauf, in a way, could do with getting ahead of some of those silver cars and use that as a bit of a cushion, but he doesn't want to get involved in a fight that might put him in jeopardy. This is Finn Zulauf's view, the Cayman, up towards Spitzkehrer once again. 6.5 minutes on the clock, down through the gears, goes wide, and up the inside line tries to go the Aston Martin. Zulauf gets run out wide, and now they sprint their way down towards turn 7. Little feather of the throttle, grab a gear down towards turn 8. Zulauf staying ahead then in Pro-Am, but he's under attack from all sides here. He goes up the inside to get himself ahead of Raphael Renhofer and put that car between himself and his class rivals. That was a good, shrewd move by Finn Zulauf, hanging on to the class lead and also just giving himself a little bit of protection. For how long that will last, we'll have to wait and see. Aston versus Aston here. The Mirage racing car of Stanislav Safronov, whereas the car that he's looking for a way past is a Pro Sport racing entry out of the Silver Cup. There's the other Mustang, Will Moore, ahead of the Benjamin-Lariche Audi. Leaders have gone by. 3.4 seconds now is the margin as Nelson Panciatici is scarpering into the distance. Tom Leben fastest lap of the race early on, and his car, Josh Rattigan, at the wheel of it, hanging on a third place just ahead of Berke Besler. Rattigan goes defensive on the run up towards turn 2 now. Big drama up at the hairpin again, and that is at turn 2. Benjamin Lariche in the Audi that's been turned around. There's front damage, and Lariche trying to rejoin, but a pretty disappointing weekend. Gets no better for the French team. Benjamin Lariche then was 9th coming over the line. He's going to be a long, long way down after that. The Aston Martin that we saw in the pit lane, by the way, with coolant leaking everywhere, is also being given a penalty for causing a collision. I think it's got its own penalty out of all of this, but for the purposes of record, the penalty will be applied, and we'll wait and see who, if anybody, gets looked at for the incident involving the Audi there as well. This is the Ricardo van der Ende BMW. Still sitting on the back of Jamie Day's Aston for 5th and 6th places. And having a tentative look on the inside coming into the stadium was van der Ende, but Jamie Day is able to position the car exactly where it needs to be. No way through there. Four minutes on the clock as the race-leading Alpine is about to come up towards the timing beam. Ricardo van der Ende there, hustling on. He's won the Dutch GT Championship. He's been a Formula Ford Festival winner. He's excelled in GT4 machinery for many, many years, largely in BMWs of late. Best lap times within silver. You can see there, Tom Levin the quicker from then Berke Besler and Nelson Panciatici. Only the 3rd fastest in silver, but right now he's on an absolute mission. That Alpine potentially has looked after its tyres very well and has got a bit more life in them at the very end. So now 3.6 seconds to the good is Panciatici. And I'm afraid to say that Benjamin Lariche has just brought the rather battered Audi down the pit lane to retire. So a troubled weekend, a troubled season for that crew, getting no better. Finn Zulauf, in the meantime, still clear within Pro-Am. This is the run towards turn 6, and 3 more minutes of the race remain. There goes the Pro-Am lead car, and still, look, Safronov has got to try to clear number 99 of Rafael Renhofer. So Zulauf maintaining position, and also with this protection of another Aston Martin between him, there it is, 99, Rafael Renhofer's car, between him and then Stanislav Safronov, his class rival. Into the Mercedes arena comes the Porsche. Finn Zulauf going nicely now, and we'll have 2 more laps ahead of him, I reckon. The race-leading Alpine, as you see, number 4 Porsche, that is 3rd in Pro-Am, going through, of Lonnie Martins. The leading Alpine is about to come across the line with enough just for 2 more laps of the race. There it is. So Nelson Panciatici goes through with, in 2nd spot, Eric Evans. The margin now great enough to stop being of interest, really, because the Mustang isn't going to close it. Berke Besler then, having got back up into 3rd at the expense of Josh Rattigan, hanging on in there. And finally, van der Ende is going to make his move into turn 1 to retake the place away from Jamie Day, and he gets the job done, but Day tries to get the undercut coming out of the corner, and he can't find a way through there. Heading up towards turn 2. Inside line covered off by van der Ende. They're being reeled in, though, by Will Moore, going really well here, in fact, in the 2nd of those Mustangs. Debris on the road, you can see from Benjamin Lariche's Audi as the cars now come out of turn 3, and a good little fight developing there between 2 race winners, Etienne Shelley and Luc Ibanez. They've both been on the top step of the podium this year. They're fighting only for 9th place at the minute, but fight they still are doing, most definitely. So 1 more lap to run at the end of this. Field turning its way now out of the Schwitzkera hairpin. And Ricardo van der Ende, having finally cleared Jamie Day, sets off in pursuit of the traffic up the road, but I think it's going to be too great a gap to really do very much with 1 more lap to run at the end of this. Nelson Panciatici is already into the stadium and will be able to squeeze another lap out of the race as Ibanez in 10th goes through. And the sister car of Andy Cantu is now leading in AM. There it is, number 16. So normally AM and Lead and Alpine of Hutto and Hergon go together, but not today. Number 16, started by Charles Dawson, brought home by Andy Cantu, is not only leading, but it's leading by quite some margin. The Alpine, I think, has been shuffled away during the course of the race. So there on his last lap is Nelson Panciatici, and a race win for the Alpine will be a first of the year, that's for certain. And as he comes down towards turn 3, absolutely out on his own now. Eric Evans has given it his best shot, and it's going to be 2 second places for the number 61 Mustang over the course of the weekend, which in a sense is good, but it will be a frustration that they couldn't quite get to that top step of the podium. Beke Bessler running in 3rd place ahead of Josh Rattigan, and then you've got Ricardo van der Ende up into that 5th spot at the expense of Jamie Day. So number 36, Nelson Panciatici, carrying on the good work from Antoine Leclerc, carrying on the good work from qualifying as well, where that car got to 2nd fastest. It was on the outside of the front of the grid, and so now accelerating to the Spitzkehrer it will come. This midfield battle, still more places to be sorted out before the very end, but Van der Ende is looking good for 5th ahead of Jamie Day. And then you've got Will Moore versus Luc Ibanez, still to be resolved as well. But Nelson Panciatici comes into the stadium for the last time, and a race win beckons then. We've seen Nelson Panciatici in single-seaters, we've seen him in GT3, but he and Antoine Leclerc forming a good partnership this year in the Alpine, and the Code Racing Development entered car is, in its very patriotic colours, about to come through and score a race win then in our 2nd GT4 European Series race, powered by RAFA Racing Club of the weekend. A win to the Alpine of Nelson Panciatici and Antoine Leclerc, 2nd to the Ford Mustang, Eric Evans and Marco Signoretti, and then 3rd to BMW, Beke Bessler and Gabriele Piana. Another good run after a poor qualifying, but that car having had a win and a 3rd, 2 second places going the way of the Ford Mustang, and the Alpine winning today after a disappointing performance yesterday, finishing in 11th spot. The rest of the pack come home with Pro-Am honours going the way in the end of Stanislav Safronov, with Finn Zulauf having got elbowed back in the pack. So Finn Zulauf has been dropped to 2nd in the class and finished in 13th place, and 3rd in the class going the way of Rick Bathorn and Ender Odem's BMW. So a real sort out right at the very end, but for the Nelson Panciatici and Antoine Leclerc double act, they can celebrate a really impressive win. 5 seconds to the good in the end. So the Alpine there comes through turn 6, the scene of the early drama and that long interruption. And then the in-lap, getting some rubber on the tyres to help with the ride height, to help with the weight. Eric Evans finally is caught up in the Mustang, but 2 second places, a good weekend, I think, for the Academy Motorsport team. They'll be content with that. So Panciatici and Leclerc, the winners, Evans and Signoretti, 2nd and 3rd to Bessler and Piana. In Pro-Am then, a 2nd win of the year for Stanislav Safronov and for Alexander Weintraub. They were on the podium's top step twice, in fact, to Paul Ricard, but only one of those wins remained. Finn Zulauf and Max Kronberg then dumped to 2nd in the end, and 3rd to Rick Bathorn and Onder Erdem. And then in AM, Andy Cantu and Charles Dawson take a 1st win of the year from Pascal Hutto and Laurent Hergon, and 3rd to the Audi number 300 of Nico Markovics and Adrien Pavio. Damage on one of the RAFA Racing team McLaren's coming to the fore there as it came into the stadium. 1 or 2 more incidents to be looked at, including one between numbers 3 and 9. That is Benjamin Lariche, number 3, and 9 is the Supra of Etienne Shelley that ends up in 26th place. But there are penalties being applied to some. 62 Wilmore's Mustang getting a penalty for track limit offences. And Etienne Shelley has been given a penalty for causing a collision of 10 seconds, so that drops the Toyota to 26th overall. Everything being looked at as quickly as possible so that the result, when we have it, is the result. It doesn't get changed again, although it might inevitably do if the stewards have to look at various things. But for the Code Racing team, very, very happy with the results of the Alpine. And Nelson Panciatici clambers out of the car. Antoine Leclerc says, well done, bravo, he's a happy man. And the Alpine has been there or thereabouts all season, but has not, up until now, quite clicked. But on a circuit where you think bigger engine cars would be the ones to have, like the Mustang there of Eric Evans, it's been the Alpine that has come out on top. And Eric Evans, the American driver, another good performance for the Academy Motorsport team. There is the Mustang dwarfing the Alpine. Eric Evans goes to congratulate Nelson. So the drivers will shortly go from Parc Fermé to the podium. And the GT4 European Series will continue its dramatic season for sure. Nelson Panciatici and Antoine Leclerc then take a first victory of the season. Two very happy drivers, no doubt. Antonio Rankin is down there.
Antoine, Nelson, that was a mega win for your Alpine.
Yeah, I'm very happy. I'm very happy for everybody, for the team, for my teammate, because we had a difficult beginning of the season. So come back here with the win, it's very, very nice. The car was perfect, and I really enjoyed my stint.
I mean, the start of the race particularly looked absolutely insane.
Yeah, yes, I'm very happy for the team. We deserve this win because of the work we've done and we do with this car. From the beginning of the season, we was a bit unlucky. We did mistakes also. We were not helped by the BOP sometimes, but today we did a clean sheet, and it's nice to win again, yes.
Well, very few mistakes from you guys today. Congratulations, really.
So bravo, Nelson Panciatici, Antoine Leclerc, victors then within GT4 European Series, an outright win, and of course with it goes a silver class win as well. And the Alpine's winning margin in the end, 5 seconds, that car coming through to score the victory. A really impressive job done. So Nelson Panciatici and Antoine Leclerc add their names to a long list of different winners, which is all illustrating why not only the championship is so competitive this year, but also why it's so important to keep banking points, keep out of trouble and try and score when you can, and score well as well when possible. Getting involved in incidents does not help, and the elite McLaren team taking 4th place, banking yet more important points for the championship. So the race result, provisionally, Nelson Panciatici and Antoine Leclerc victorious, from Eric Evans and Marco Signoretti, Beppe Besler and Gabriele Piana taking 3rd. 4th, Josh Rattigan and Tom Leben, from Ricardo van der Ende and Benjamin Lessen, and then it's Jamie Day and Matteo Villagomez 6th, ahead of Luke Ibanez and Alex Papadopoulos. Jagish Gidik and Pedro Everhin fell to 8th after Jagish made his mistake. 9th and 10th, top 2 in Pro-Am. Stanislav Safronov and Alexander Weintraub ahead of Finn Zulauf and Max Kronberg. 14th, Andy Cantu and Charles Dawson. They are the winning team in bronze. So, a change of brand winning in AM, the Mercedes. Drivers very busy now talking about their race. Jagish Gidik and Pedro Ebrahim's car falling down the order, but Beppe Besler and Gabriele Piana up to 3rd. So a good weekend, a win and a 3rd. Let's look at the highlights of that race then. That began with the Alpine getting the jump off the line into turn 1. Before long though, Marco Signoretti had hustled the Ford Mustang into the lead of the race. Just a brief rub between the two, and there was the Tom Leben driven McLaren behind as well. Then a huge impact up at turn 6 as Noam Abramczyk collided with Cindy Goudet's Toyota. That triggered a rather long safety car period, the other side of which we went racing once again with Signoretti up front, and more drama through the hairpins, with damage being done to the Joachim Walder BMW. That was a retirement. And other cars came into the pits with damage as well. The pit stop window, of course, shuffled the order markedly, but it put Nelson Panciatici up front, and he was able to move himself up past the Jagish Gidek BMW at turn 2 to secure the race lead, and he hung on to it despite everything else going on around him. Eric Evans moved his way through into second place in the Mustang. And other battles behind would involve contact, turning around the Kevin Jimenez Aston Martin out of the AM contest. And another casualty was number 3, because around went the Benjamin Lariche Audi, for which number 9 Toyota was given a 10-second penalty for causing a collision. But through all the drama came the Alpine. Nelson Panciatici and Antoine Leclerc on top to win here at Hockenheim. So the podium awaits. The cars there all in the scrutineering Parc Ferme area. So they can't be touched by the teams, only by the race officials, the scrutineers. So the drivers are on top of the podium now, waiting behind, ready for the signal to be given to bring them into position. Podiums, of course, for AM, Pro-Am and Silver. And the pit walk underway as well now, so the fans, before the GT3 pit lane opens, getting a chance to go and have a look at the cars close up. The silver podium is going to go first, you can hear in the background, so that will mean Gabriele Piana and Beke Bessler will step forward first. The second place, the Ford Mustang team, Eric Evans and Marco Signoretti, they know exactly where to stand. They had to stand there yesterday and be pleased with second, but frustrated that they didn't win. But the American-Canadian effort, taking second place, but a win for Code Racing Development for there. Antoine Leclerc, for Nelson Panciatici, they win here at Hockenheim. And the French car, the French team, victorious in our second race of the weekend. So there, the winners on the top step of the podium. Handshakes all round. So the RAFA Racing Club trophies about to be presented. Emma Sagatini, on behalf of the RAFA Racing Club, hands to third and then to second. And then to the winning team as well, to Code Racing Development. And then the winners, Nelson Panciatici and Antoine Leclerc, victorious then in silver, and of course the outright winners after a very dramatic race indeed. So the drivers then all stand with the trophies aloft for the photographs, and the champagne awaits. They don't need these overalls again this weekend, so champagne can be presented. I think I'm right in saying the other driver that's on the podium for Borusan is Jagish Gaidik as the winning rookie, which is how he is there. Josh Rattigan and Tom Leben increased their lead in the championship over now Benjamin Lessen and Ricardo van der Ende. A disappointing day, retirement for Robert Contoni and Benjamin Lariche. They fall now to third. So from the silver podium, drivers make their way to Sanctuary, away from all the champagne. And onto the podium will come the bottles of champagne ready for the Pro-Am, which should be next. And then the AMs to round out the podium ceremonies here. The GT4 European Series has been delivering some great racing all year, and more of the same to come, because the championship will move on to Monza in September and then to the Middle East to round out the series this year. Quite a bit of track sweeping work going on incidentally right now, but a good last lap win for Stanislav Savronov and Alexander Weintraub within AM, as there's been another change in that class. Now a penalty has gone the way of Rick Bouthorn and Onder Erdem, so that means that third in the class has gone the way of Edwin Hellstein and Daniel Nielsen. Then for second, Finn Zulauf and Max Kronberg, and now the winners, Stanislav Savronov and Alexander Weintraub, make their way to the top step, and that means that it is a win for the Aston Martin team for Mirage Racing. So the French team celebrating success, and the trophies, again, courtesy of the RAFA Racing Club, being presented. To the second place drivers. Asia Sagatini hands over the trophies to our victorious drivers and team as well, the team being represented as well. And so, as the drivers all stand with the trophies, the applause to our Pro-Am top three. The champagne is sprayed. Finn Zulauf and Max Kronberg perhaps a little disappointed that what looked like another win ebbed away right at the very end, but at least it is points as far as the championship is concerned, so there is some solace from that. And the AMs, Andy Cantu and Charles Dawson, the victors there, will be making their way to the podium shortly. But the GT4 European Series, powered by RAFA Racing Club, will move to Monza in September. And more great racing in prospect from this ultra-competitive championship season. For now, though, from Hockenheim, thank you for your company for two really good races this weekend. From David Addison, it's goodbye.